There is a silent war you fight every single day. It begins the moment consciousness returns, that space between sleep and awareness, where the first thought forms. Before your feet touch the floor, before your eyes fully open, the battle lines are already drawn. Your own mind has become the battlefield, not with external enemies, but with internal forces, a voice that narrates your life in tones you'd never use on anyone else. It speaks in whispers of doubt, echoes of criticism, and the heavy silence of fear. It tells you stories about your limits before you've tested them, replays your stumbles on an endless loop, and questions your worth with the persistence of a prosecutor. You clicked on this today because something in you is tired. Tired of the constant negotiation with yourself? Tired of the mental gymnastics required just to believe you're capable? Tired of showing up to a fight where you're both the combatant and the casualty? What if I told you the most profound power you've been searching for isn't somewhere out there, in another achievement, another relationship, another external validation, but right here in how you relate to the voice inside your own head? What if ending this war wasn't about winning through force, but through understanding, through seeing the battlefield for what it truly is? Today, we're not just having a conversation, we're conducting a strategic retreat from self-conflict and a deliberate advance towards self-command. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about truthful thinking. This isn't about silencing your mind, but understanding its language. This is your armistice. This is your sovereignty. The Stoic foundation, masters of inner terrain. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius writing his private meditations by candlelight, Seneca contemplating life from exile, Epictetus teaching from physical lameness to philosophical wholeness, weren't just philosophers who endured hardship. They were cartographers of the human mind. They understood something we've forgotten in our age of constant distraction, that the mind is not just a container for thoughts, but a territory to be governed. They knew that the most important kingdom you'll ever rule is the one between your ears, that the gates to your peace aren't guarded by circumstances but by perceptions, that the narrative of not enough that plays on repeat isn't a life sentence handed down by fate, but a habit, a deeply ingrained, practiced, reinforced habit. And what is practiced can be unpracticed. What is learned can be unlearned. What has been built can be rebuilt. Interactive commitment, your declaration of mental sovereignty. Before we proceed, because passive listening won't change anything, I need you to make a choice, right now. Are you ready to lay down the weapons you've been using against yourself? Are you ready to stop the assault of negative self-thinking, to finally, truly disarm that inner critic that's been masquerading as your protector? If your answer is yes, and I mean a real yes, not a maybe later yes, then do this with me. First, press that like button, not for my ego, but as your first public declaration, a digital signature on an invisible contract with your future self. Let it be a marker in time. Here is where I decided to change the relationship with my own mind. Second, type one word in the comments below. Sovereign. Just that one word. Let's create a visible community of people choosing mental sovereignty right now. You're not alone in this fight, and seeing others choose the same path creates a powerful collective energy. Third, share this with one person, just one, who you know is fighting this same silent war. Someone who puts on a brave face but whose eyes betray the exhaustion of constant self-negotiation. This isn't just sharing a video, it's extending a lifeline. And finally, subscribe to Stoic Mindset Mastery. Not because I need subscribers, but because your journey deserves daily reinforcement. Peace isn't a one-time achievement, it's a daily practice, a muscle that needs consistent training. We'll be here to provide that training. Do not scroll away. What follows isn't just information, it's a new operating system for your mind. Your future self, the one who moves through the world with quiet confidence rather than constant negotiation, is waiting on the other side of these next truths. If you're truly committing to this shift, let me see it. Type in the comments right now, I command my mind. Truth 1. Your thoughts are suggestions, not facts. Your brain is a prediction machine, not a truth teller. Neuroscientists estimate we have between 60,000 and 80,000 thoughts per day. Think about that number for a moment, 60,000. If each thought were a sentence, that would be a 300-page book every single day. Now, here's the crucial realization. Most of these thoughts are not facts. They're not divine revelations or objective truths. They're interpretations. They're like subtitles your mind writes over the silent film of reality, and often the translation is flawed, colored by past pain, future anxiety, present hunger, or yesterday's disappointment. You treat the thought, I am a failure, as if it were a stone tablet brought down from the mountain, etched with divine certainty. But it's not. It's a feeling wearing a fact's clothing. It's an emotion that learned to speak in declarative statements. The Stoic teacher Epictetus, born a slave and crippled by his master's brutality, discovered a truth that freed him more than any physical emancipation ever could. We are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. Let's break that down with a modern example. You send a message to someone important and they don't reply. The event is neutral. A message was sent. No reply was received. Your thought about the event creates your reality. They're ignoring me because I'm not important. The suffering follows. The thought, anxiety, self-doubt, replaying the conversation. You don't suffer because of the unanswered message. You suffer because of the story you've attached to it. The thought is the bridge between neutral event and personal suffering. And here's your power. You get to examine that bridge before you cross it. Here is the crucial cognitive shift. Begin to see thoughts as visitors knocking on your door, not residents who own the house. Some visitors are welcome. They bring insight, encouragement, clarity. Others are unwelcome. They bring fear, judgment, old pain. You, as the homeowner, get to decide who comes in, how long they stay, and what they're allowed to touch. Imagine sitting on a riverbank, watching autumn leaves float by. Some are vibrant gold and crimson, beautiful to behold. Others are brown, crumbling, decayed. Your job isn't to leap into the cold water and grab every leaf. Your job isn't to collect the decaying ones and press them into a book saying, this is my story now. Your job is to observe, to notice. Ah, there's a beautiful one. There's a decaying one, and now they've both passed. You are the riverbank, stable, enduring, unchanging. The leaves are just weather, temporary, passing, conditional. This metaphorical space between the leaf appearing and your decision to grab it or let it pass is where your true power resides. It's the pause, the breath, the moment of choice. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that hears them. You are not the storm. You are the sky that contains it. Storms rage, then pass. The sky remains. Start this practice today, this very moment. When a harsh thought arises, I'll never be good at this. Don't engage with it as truth. Simply notice it. Say to yourself, silently or aloud, I am having the thought that I'll never be good at this. Feel the subtle but profound separation in that phrasing. I am having the thought that creates distance. It objectifies the thought. It turns it from a declaration of identity, I am a failure, into an observable mental event. A thought about failure is occurring. That distance is your sovereignty. That space is your freedom. You are the gatekeeper of your own mental kingdom. You decide which thoughts get citizenship, which get a visitor's visa, and which get turned away at the border. This isn't suppression, it's discernment. Truth 2. Your inner critic is a borrowed voice now. Lean in closer. I want you to do something. Close your eyes for just 5 seconds. I'll wait. And listen to that critical voice in your head. The one that just told you closing your eyes is silly. Really listen, not to the words, but to the tone, the cadence, the rhythm, the emotional texture. Whose voice does it really sound like? For many of us, it's not our own. It's an echo, a recording, a ghost from the past that we've mistaken for our own reflection. It might have the disappointed sigh of a parent who only praised perfection. It might have the scornful tone of a childhood bully whose words stuck deeper than their fists. It might have the impatient edge of a teacher who made you feel slow, or the cold critique of an ex-partner who knew exactly where you were vulnerable. You have internalized voices that were never your birthright. You've downloaded software written by other people's limitations, other people's pain, other people's unresolved issues, and you've been running that program as if it were your operating system. This critic doesn't speak in nuances. It speaks in absolutes, the language of trauma, not truth. You always mess up. You never get it right. Everyone thinks you're... Nobody will ever... These are the linguistic fingerprints of emotional reasoning, not factual assessment. They're generalizations that collapse complexity into criticism. Think of a toddler learning to walk. They wobble, stumble, fall. Do they lie on the floor and think, I'm such a failure, walking isn't for me, everyone else can do it, but I'm fundamentally flawed? Of course not. They haven't yet learned the art of self-flagellation. That script was written for them later by adults who, often unconsciously, projected their own fears, disappointments, and unhealed wounds onto a blank slate. Your task is not to argue with the echo in a haunted house. Arguing gives it validity, energy, attention. Your task is to change the acoustics of the room entirely, to choose a new narrator for the story of your life. Instead of the harsh critic, you can become the wise mentor. This narrator doesn't ignore mistakes, but contextualizes them. This voice doesn't trade in shame, but in compassionate clarity. It sees the effort behind the stumble. It honors the courage in the attempt. It separates the action from the actor. Here is your most powerful filter question, one to engrave on your mental dashboard. Would I speak this way to someone I truly love? If your best friend came to you after a professional setback, heartbroken, would you say, "You always do this. You're such a disappointment. I knew you couldn't handle it." You would not. You'd offer a hug. You'd say, "That's really tough. I'm here. What did you learn? What's next?" You'd offer presence, not punishment. Why then do we grant ourselves a cruelty we would never inflict on another? It's time to revoke that license. Replace condemnation with curiosity. Transform "why am I so stupid" into "what is this situation trying to teach me?" Shift from "I'm a mess" to "I'm navigating a complex challenge," and that's human. The words you choose in the privacy of your own mind aren't just self-talk. They're world builders. They construct the reality you inhabit. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for helping grow, because you are. Truth 3. Comparison is theft of your unique journey. You scroll, another promotion announced, another perfect vacation, another body transformed, another life that looks like a series of beautifully curated moments strung together with effortless grace. And in your chest, a familiar hollow feeling opens, a whisper, "Look where they are, look where you're not." This feeling isn't evaluation, it's self-sabotage. It's the theft of your own unique journey, robbed at the mental point of a gun called everyone else. You are comparing your raw, chaotic, behind-the-scenes documentary with its forgotten lines, its messy takes, its director's doubts, to someone else's finished, polished trailer. You're seeing their summit celebration, not the 1,000 slips on icy slopes, the nights spent freezing in a tent of doubt. the moments they wanted to quit but didn't. The Stoic lens is ruthlessly focused on one category, the sphere of what is within your control. Your effort, your integrity, your response, your next step, your attitude. That's it. You control precisely 0% of another person's genetics, upbringing, opportunities, connections, luck, timing, or private struggles. 0. When you fixate on their path, you are literally abandoning your own. You're standing at your own crossroads, staring at their map, wondering why you're lost. Your mission on this earth is not to become the most accurate replica of someone you admire. Your mission is to become the most authentic, fully realized version of you. Your specific combination of scars and strengths, fears and passions, failures and resilience exists nowhere else in the universe, in all of time. That isn't a consolation prize, it's the entire point. Your only true, fair, and useful competition is the person you were yesterday. Not the influencer with 2 million followers, not the colleague who got the promotion, not the friend whose relationship looks perfect online. The you of 24 hours ago. Did you learn something new? Did you act with slightly more integrity? Did you show yourself a fraction more compassion? Did you take one small step toward a value you hold dear? That is the only leaderboard that matters. When you feel the gravitational pull of comparison, and you will, it's a modern reflex, here is your redirect. Pause. Place a hand on your heart. Feel its beat. Your heart. Your life. Then ask this question aloud. What is one small, tangible step I can take today on my path? Celebrate others' wins with genuine warmth. Their light does not dim yours. This isn't just spiritual poetry, it's practical psychology. Resentment contracts your energy. Celebration expands it. The universe isn't a pie with limited slices. It's a kitchen where everyone can learn to bake their own. Truth 4. Mistakes are data, not identity. You carry them. The wrong turn spoken in anger. The opportunity lost to hesitation. The promise broken to yourself. They sit in your memory like stones in a pocket, weighing down your present with the gravity of the past. We must make a liberating distinction, one that changes everything. A mistake is something you made. It is not something you are. You are not a failure. You are a person who experienced a failure. You are not a mess. You are a person navigating a messy situation. This is the critical difference between an event and an identity, between what happened and who you are. Psychology distinguishes between shame and guilt, two forces often confused. Shame whispers, "I am bad." It attacks the core of your being. Guilt states, "I did a bad thing." It addresses a specific behavior. Shame is a cage. Guilt, when healthy, is a compass. It points toward the need for course correction. One paralyzes you in the past. The other can propel you toward a better future. Every great creator, innovator, and visionary has a personal museum of attempts that didn't work. Thomas Edison didn't have 10,000 failures. He found 10,000 ways that didn't produce a functional light bulb. Each was a data point, a landmark that said, "Don't dig here." Your mistakes are not indictments of your character. They are the most honest, unflinching feedback you will ever receive. They are your personal professors in the school of lived experience. The transformative question is never, "Why am I such an idiot?" That question leads nowhere but deeper into the shame spiral. The transformative question is, "What is this teaching me about my approach, my assumptions, or my resilience?" Forgive yourself, not as a pardon for the action, but as a release of the weight that prevents forward motion. You wouldn't expect a toddler to carry the rock they tripped over for the rest of their life. You'd help them up, dust them off, and encourage them to watch their step next time. Offer yourself the same basic humanity. You are a perpetual student in the classroom of life. Some lessons are gentle, some are brutally hard. Treat yourself with the grace of a wise teacher who knows the material is difficult, who values the learning over the perfect test score. The teacher who says, "You stumbled on that equation. Let's understand why. Now try again." Truth 5. You are the keeper of your own permission. You're waiting for the perfect Monday, for the feeling of being ready, for a sign from the universe, a shooting star, a serendipitous meeting, a bolt of confidence from the blue. You're waiting for someone, a parent, a partner, a mentor, society, to grant you the authority to change, to begin, to become. That permission will never arrive in the mail. It doesn't come from outside. It is an internal document, and you have been the sole holder of the signing pen your entire life. You've just been waiting for someone else's name to appear on the authorized byline. You do not need to feel ready. In fact, if you wait until you feel ready for significant growth, you will wait forever. Growth happens in the fertile, uncomfortable soil, just beyond the familiar borders of your comfort zone. The feeling of readiness often comes after you begin, not before. You are allowed to change your mind. Changing your mind, when presented with new information or new self-understanding, isn't flaky, it's intelligent. You are allowed to outgrow dreams that once fit but now constrict. The dreams of your 20-year-old self were for a 20-year-old's life. You are allowed to start a new chapter at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Age is a number, not a cage. This isn't inconsistency. This is evolution. This is the story of a life actually being lived, not statically preserved. Embrace the Japanese concept of kaizen, continuous improvement through small, consistent, almost imperceptible steps. You don't need to tear your life down to the foundation tonight. That's overwhelming and usually leads to giving up by Tuesday. You only need to identify one tiny, deliberate action that aligns with your truth and take it. Today, that action could be as simple as deleting one app that fuels comparison for 24 hours, speaking one kind sentence to yourself in the mirror, spending 5 minutes in silence instead of filling the void with noise, writing one sentence of that thing you've been wanting to write. That single step, taken with clear intention, is a quiet revolution. It is you, the sovereign, issuing a decree to your own life. What is one tiny permission to start, to stop, to try, to rest? Will you grant yourself before this day ends? Truth 6. Your worth is inherent, not earned. You have tied your sense of value to a ledger of productivity. Your to-do list is your report card. An unchecked box is a mark against you. Rest feels like laziness. Stillness feels like failure. A day without output feels like a day wasted. But you are not a human doing. You are, at your essence, a human being. Your worth was conferred upon you by the miraculous fact of your existence. It is not a currency to be earned through labor, validated through achievement, or canceled by missteps. It is the foundational ground of your being, present from your first breath to your last. Look at nature. The oak tree in the forest doesn't hustle. It doesn't stress about growing faster than the tree next to it. It doesn't measure its worth by the number of acorns produced each season. It draws nutrients from the earth, energy from the sun, and simply becomes an oak tree. It fulfills its nature by being what it is. When you measure your worth by productivity, you reduce yourself from a conscious being to a biological machine. Machines have a function. Beings have an essence. Machines break down from overuse. Beings flourish when they balance action with restoration. Rest is not a reward you earn after crossing the finish line of exhaustion. It is a prerequisite for sustained vitality, creativity, and clarity. Setting a boundary, saying no to protect your time, energy, or peace is not selfishness. It is the highest form of stewardship. You are the guardian of one precious, irreplaceable life. Your duty is to protect its flame, not burn it at both ends to prove it's bright. Your value is intrinsic. It is unchanging. It is not on a sliding scale based on your latest accomplishment or failure. You were enough before you achieved anything. You will be enough if you achieve nothing more. You are enough right now, in this breath, simply because you are. Truth 7. Healing is a spiral, not a straight line. You had a good week. You felt lighter. The old triggers didn't sting as much. You thought, maybe I'm finally past this. Then a song, a smell, a tone of voice, a wave from the past crashes over you with familiar force. The old feelings return, the negative self-talk revives, and you think, I've failed, I'm back at square one. All that work was for nothing. This perception is the single greatest demoralizer in the healing process. It is also a lie. Deep, meaningful healing is not a straight-line journey from broken to fixed. It is an upward spiral. You circle back to familiar emotional territory, to similar triggers, to old wounds. But each time you circle back, you are not on the same plane. You are higher. You view the same landscape from a new vantage point, armed with more wisdom, more tools, more strength, more self-compassion than the last time. The wound is not a sign of permanent brokenness. It is the very place where your deepest understanding can enter. A bad day, a triggering moment, a wave of old grief does not erase months of progress. It is a difficult moment contained within a much longer, upward trending arc of growth. Give yourself radical grace for the non-linear journey. You are not back at the start. You are on a new turn of the spiral, integrating the lesson at a more profound level. The pain feels familiar because the memory is old, but the person feeling it is new. Trust the process, especially when the path seems to circle. It's not circling backward, it's circling upward. Truth 8. Silence the what if that hijacks your present. The soundtrack of anxiety is a question loop. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I'm not enough? What if it all falls apart? It's your mind's ancient survival mechanism, working overtime in a modern world. It's trying to protect you by pre-experiencing 1,000 potential disasters so you can avoid them. Seneca, the Stoic statesman, nailed it 2,000 years ago. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think of all the mental energy you've spent paying a pain tax on disasters that never arrived, the awkward conversation that went fine, the presentation that was accepted, the risk that paid off. This what-if thinking is a sophisticated trap. It disguises itself as preparedness. I'm just being realistic, you tell yourself. But there's a canyon of difference between planning and catastrophizing. True, functional planning asks, what is my next realistic step? What resources do I need? What's a potential obstacle and what's my contingency? It's grounded, present-focused, and solution-oriented. Anxiety-driven what-if thinking just replays. What's the absolute worst-case scenario on a horror movie loop? It's future-tripping, emotionally charged, and paralyzing. You cannot control every outcome. Life is inherently uncertain, but you can control where you direct the spotlight of your attention. When you feel the what-if spiral beginning, here is your emergency brake. Stop. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Feel the floor beneath you. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Now, look around. Name 5 things you can see in vivid detail. The grain of the wood on your desk, the specific shade of blue of a book spine, the pattern of light on the wall. You have just performed a neurological reset. You've dragged your consciousness out of the hypothetical future and back into the actual sensory present. This moment, right here, is the only place where you can ever breathe, think, or act. Choose presence over prediction. Choose the reality of now over the phantom of later. Truth 9. It is honorable to outgrow. This truth may be the most socially challenging of all. The people, places, and even versions of yourself that once felt like home may begin to feel like a too small suit. Conversations that once energized you now feel draining. Environments that once inspired you now feel stifling, and a deep, gnawing guilt arises. I'm changing. I'm leaving them behind. This must mean I'm a bad person. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus gave us the perfect metaphor. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man. The water has flowed on. You have flowed on. This is not betrayal. It is the undeniable current of life. It is integrity to your own evolution. Not every relationship is meant for every season of your life. Some people are beautiful, necessary guides for a specific chapter. The friend who got you through college, the mentor who shaped your early career. Your love and gratitude for them can be eternal. Even if the form of the relationship changes, you can love someone and sincerely wish them well, while also acknowledging your paths have diverged. Holding on out of guilt is a disservice to both of you. The same applies to places and roles. The job that once sparked your ambition may now only spark your anxiety. The city that once felt like an adventure may now feel like a cage. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to seek spaces that match the person you are becoming. Your first and most sacred duty is not to remain static for another's comfort. It is to your own conscious evolution. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your growth, who ask, "What are you learning?" not, "Why are you changing?" Your growth will inevitably make some people uncomfortable, often those who have chosen to stand still. That is not your problem to solve. It is their relationship with change to reconcile. Truth 10. Your story is an epic still being penned. Look at you. You are here, reading these words. By the sheer fact of your presence, you have survived 100% of your worst days. Every loss, every heartbreak, every failure, every moment you were certain you would break, you are here on the other side of it. That is not luck. That is evidence of a resilience you have yet to fully appreciate or trust. Your past, with all its pain, its missteps, its chapters you'd rather edit out, is not the final draft of your biography. It is merely the backstory, the necessary exposition that has forged the resilient, complex, wiser character reading this right now. The protagonist doesn't get interesting in the first act. They get forged in the crucible of the second. Embrace the Japanese art of kintsugi. When a prized ceramic piece breaks, the artists don't discard it or hide the cracks. They repair it with lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The piece becomes more beautiful, more valuable for having been broken. The cracks aren't hidden, they're illuminated, made part of the object's unique history. You are that art. Your scars, your struggles, your broken open places, they are not flaws to be disguised. They are the golden seams of your personal history. They show where you have been put back together, stronger and more intricate than before. They are proof of survival. They are the map of your strength. Your story is not over. The most powerful, purpose-driven, and impactful chapters of every great narrative are written after the protagonist has been through the fire, lost their way, and found a new source of strength. You are in the middle of your epic. You hold the pen. What will you write in the very next paragraph? Your new command, the practice of sovereignty. You have made it to the end. That in itself is a declaration. It means you have chosen, in this moment, a different way of being with yourself. These 10 Stoic truths are not a magic spell for perfect, perpetual positivity. The goal is not to never have a negative thought again. That's impossible. The goal is sovereignty. The goal is to recognize that your mind is the most powerful territory you will ever govern, and you are its rightful, capable leader. Some days the old patterns will whisper, The echo of the critic will sound convincing. The pull to compare will be strong. On those days, and they will come, your job is not to achieve perfection. Your job is to remember, to come back to these truths, to practice. Remember, thoughts are suggestions, not facts. Your critic is a borrowed voice, not your truth. Your path is yours alone. Mistakes are data, not identity. Your permission is internal. Your worth is inherent. Healing is a spiral. Your present moment is your only point of power. Growth is honorable. Your story continues. This is how you rewire a mind, not through brutal force or willpower white-knuckling, but through patient, persistent, compassionate re-education. One conscious choice at a time, one moment of noticing, one breath of space between thought and belief. Final call to action, sealing the contract. Now, to integrate this shift from the theoretical to the lived, I need you to take 3 final actions with me. These are the seals on your new contract. First, hit that like button. Let this be your final firm signature, a commitment witnessed by the digital universe. Second, scroll down and drop your single biggest takeaway in the comments. What truth resonated most? I am not my thoughts. My worth is inherent. I hold my own permission. By writing it, you claim it. By sharing it, you strengthen our community of people choosing mental freedom. Read others' comments. You'll see you're not alone, and their insights might illuminate your own path. Third, subscribe to Stoic Mindset Mastery. Click that notification bell. Your journey toward peace deserves daily nourishment. We will be here every day, providing the timeless wisdom and practical reminders you need to fortify this new way of being. This isn't the end of your learning. It's the foundation. You are not just fixing your thinking. You are reclaiming your life. You are moving from being a captive of chaotic thoughts to becoming the calm, clear commander of your inner world. The silent war ends when you lay down the weapons of self-judgment and pick up the tools of self-understanding. It ends now. Not because the mind goes silent, but because you've changed your relationship to the noise. Your peace begins in this breath. Your command starts with this choice. Type this final sovereign affirmation below and let it be your first decree. My mind, my command.